Pixie.
Yeah.
So I am definitely up for this to be a little bit closer than we're suspecting. For me, though, it's probably Legacy all the way, 4 maps. Are you in agreement there, or do you think that Tainted Minds can squeak some out here?
See, I don't know. I've got to feel it's the 4-0 with maybe the caveat being maybe Legacy have a bit of a slow starter kind of day, and if they do, well, we're going to see it right here.
Yeah, well, it's not going to take long to find out whether it's a slow start as we kick things off here on Lighthouse at Ilios, and we'll follow it out with Wuvo on the Pharah.
And already just exerting that aerial pressure straight down onto full metal, taking big chunks. Finally getting the close out there as Skull kind of dives deep for the follow-up, and not really punished for it either. Now it's Quad J, the only tank absorbing all the damage, and you just can't out-heal that. He's going to lose his mech as well, and this is exactly just Legacy playing the aerial dominance game. We just did not see the same kind of presence out of Slidzor, who you now see there just slowly getting beaten back to Rockets. Oh, what a catch!
Yeah, well, that's it. Wuvo's like, well, I've done my job on the ground. I'll turn my sights to the air. Now I have that freedom to do so. And really, without much contesting there, I would say that Legacy picked that one up pretty easily. Looking very good. All still alive. Also starting to build up that ultimate across the board that by the time Tainted comes back to fight, not going to be in a great position in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're going to get a really, like, stunner catch off D-Field's Pulse Bomb here. But already we see Wuvo just with that Rocket Barrage. Good move, though, by Tainted, kind of booking it for the point. They want to try and take the fight to that confined space, and they do catch Skull, but trade it back onto full metal now, just going to fully open up the skirmish, and there is going to be the Rocket Barrage. Actually, didn't quite get the angle, and Baby Poro ends up knocking himself out, unfortunately, but Caramel Koala is there to do the work that, unfortunately, Wuvo couldn't, at least in the opening section there. But now Tainted may just want to start turning this one around. In fact, yeah, Slidzor J going to commit that Rocket Barrage, but we're just not seeing the effect of it just yet. Legacy really holding on without too much difficulty, at least for now.
Yeah, it looked almost like Legacy was starting to lose control of that one, but they gained it back. We'll see the Primal Rage now coming out of the Winston as well. 59, 60% is where we're at. Pushing through, we'll get that Mac back as well, but Quad J picks up 2. That's a big play. And now Tainted Minds will be able to swing this back towards their way.
Yeah, that was pretty significant, actually. I almost felt like right as that happened, I was sort of thinking maybe Tainted ought to leave this one. They actually have an ultimate advantage now. You know, back off, maybe come in for another fight after a very fast reset. But getting the 2K there, it almost feels like Legacy were expecting Tainted to not throw anything else into the mix. Maybe got a little bit blindsided by that.
Well, the result was good for Tainted Minds, and now Legacy will have to do the work to get this one back. They're going to try and peek onto the point, but the numbers are not in their favor right now. They have players all across the board.
Oh, yeah,
look at that.
Nice timing on the sound barrier. It didn't quite save the mech because it was already done to the Pulse Bomb, but keeps the rest of the members healthy. So a lot of ultimates already being committed, though, for Tainted, and the fight hasn't only really broken out in earnest until now. They are still kind of getting the upper hand, but losing Baby Poro is hurting them a lot here. Wuvo down. It's going to be on to really D-Field to try and secure this one for his team. Legacy still plenty in the fight. Strawbella looking for the angle on the res, not finding it, but they get the cap. That's a little bit of a slip from Tainted Minds, but now Legacy on the point, a little more established, are able to just clean it up at the end.
Yeah, that was really odd. It felt like Tainted, they started that fight not on the point. They started it spread out. The sound barrier came out. I don't even know if everyone was hit by it, to be perfectly honest. And as you said, it didn't manage to save the mech. So now they're in quite a difficult position here. Legacy looking strong, 92%, still pushing forward. Caramel Koala wants to find 1 or 2 Pixie if possible. Ultimates both for Strawbella, Cinderella and Skull as Cinderella comes out with that Primal Rage, finding 2 now, and that will be that Pixie. They should pick up the point.
Absolutely should. Slidzor J maybe regretting going in for that dogfight there. Gonna have to try and go for the Razor's Baby Poro. Does actually get it, but Baby Poro dead. Slidzor J nearly got himself onto the point, but not quite. And yeah, really that Rocket Barrage had sealed the deal. So 100 to 42%. 42 was a little uncomfortable. It felt like there was maybe a bit of a slip up from Legacy there, but after that point, they actually played it very calmly, got it back under control without too much difficulty.
Yeah, it felt like they did two weird things while trying to hold that point in ultimate usage, which kind of cost it for them in the end. But the reality was that they were just able to outplay Tainted Minds here. So, are we going to see a Widowmaker here? It looks like maybe Slidzor J picking up at the moment. What do you think of if one team has a Widow and the other team doesn't? How does that play out?
It's funky, isn't it? Like, Widow is so good on Ruins because of those sightlines. But the funny thing is when both have a Widow, you know, you're actually contesting, or rather you're jostling over who controls those sightlines.
Yeah.
So you do relinquish control of the sightlines, but you do so with the benefit of, maybe having something else in the kit bag, like, maybe just going full dive to try and get rid of the Widowmaker rather than having this, like, ranged pitched battle. So I do expect that that's what we are going to see in a moment out of Legacy here, given that they're not fielding a Widow of their own. Once they kind of got the upper hand, they will seek to dislodge Sliz
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm sure Wuvo would love to jump in there and take Sliz down at
Saphira.
Nice close range. And, well, as you say, Saphira trying to fight that battle at long range up against the Widow, loses it this time around. Both full metal now, going to pick up one. It's two apiece. Both teams with still 4 alive, but Cinderella here on the point, capturing it here as part of their team. And looks like they should surely be able to grab that one.
Yeah, D-Field going down to his own pulse bomb while demeching Skull is actually just unfortunately not enough work. And this is actually where you see one of the detriments of the Widowmaker. Sliz died, got res and all that jazz, and things weren't going ideally for Legacy, but they had the presence on the point. That's something the Widowmaker doesn't bring you on unless you're getting a lot more than just the Zen. It's not going to do enough work, but now they're committing hard on the point, feel like they had the manpower, but instantly going sour. Not actually as coordinated as they were maybe thinking. You didn't really see the tanks getting into the thick of it until really the wrong time of the fight. In fact, where even was Quad J for that? Look at how far back at spawn he was.
Yeah, a half-committed push really does nothing. All it accomplishes is feeding more ultimate across to Legacy. It's cost them time now. Legacy in a great spot here, even though they're only at 30% right now. You'd like to think that they should be able to hold it for another 25, 30 more before Tainted Minds are in a good position to really try and take it back. Look at this, a 5-stack, almost 6-stack here of ultimates for Legacy, looking very promising. And
it should become that 6-stack by the time a fight breaks out. Straight in for Wuvo, not going to waste any time. He doesn't care if you can see him through the infrasight. He's still going to go diving in. And actually, this is really great for Legacy, right? That's only one ultimate. They do lose the member. They get, trade bags here, but this is all happening off the point. This is free progress. Tainted Minds still need to do something proactive here. They still need to take the fight to the point.
One res already used, and now the sound barrier going to come out here for Strawbella. A very strong team fight, I think, here for Legacy. Waiting to see where the full metal's forced into their primal rage. There you go, it does come out. Caramel Koala goes down. 5v5, losing both of those traces. But you can see it ticking away here, 75%. This is a lot of time going in the way of Legacy.
Yeah, even as Tainted Minds are starting to look like they've got the upper hand in this fight, we actually saw Full Metal doing quite a lot of work on the point. It's taken them so long because that fight started like almost 30 seconds ago, way away from the point. Tainted Minds, to their credit, did actually take the fight to the point by way of the D.Va self-destruct and Full Metal finally kind of committing to it while Legacy were busy kind of diving the Tainted backline. But in that time, Legacy are up to 92%. This is still really comfortable. The ults aren't way in Tainted Minds' favor. Legacy have plenty of time to build up an advantage. One more fight will probably be the last one if Legacy can win it.
Well, that's it. We said, well, I at least said I thought there was probably 30% in there, and they ended up finding 60% purely because that fight went for so long. It took them forever to get there on the point. It took them forever to actually get those kills and be able to retake control. D-Field pushes through with love to try and find a pick here onto the support, but all we see right now is Sliz going down and getting picked up. There we go, finally D-Field finds one, wants to try and get one there with the Pulse Bomb. We do get the D-Mech as well. Tainted Minds holding on to the point, building up some of these ults as well. And Legacy forced to reset now. Yeah, just had to kind of take the dive there. That was a little bit rough. They actually came into that relatively even, actually, but the few resources Tainted Minds got, they actually used to pretty great effect. Self-destruct really created a lot of space for them, which D-Field just instantly followed up on. First a kill and then also another with the Pulse Bomb, also having the Coalescence. Legacy was smart to reset when they did, though, because they are coming into some really big ultimates of their own. But if they don't get anything out of them this fight, then actually they're a little bit on the ropes. It's getting close. If they lose, as you say, this fight, it's going to be much, much tighter than we originally predicted. But maybe Wuvo here with the Dragon Blade could do some serious damage. Cinderella going down already to their counterpart Full Metal, so this makes life quite difficult. Quad J takes out Wuvo. Dragon Blade is gone. Here comes the self-destruct from Skull. Needs to find one or two, gets 0. This is actually quite costly, even though they're getting ticks on the point. Tainted Minds is still alive. Yeah, finally able to commit that Transcendence from Saphira to keep the few members still there alive, but Wuvo's still on his way back. Caramel Koala went down, and Sliz is relatively untouched. Check Pfizer now as they go for the dive at him. There we go, the Dragon Blade does get Full Metal, looking to get nice. Quad J as well. Still needs to get Sliz, but actually, given that he's the last man of the fight, it may not be too bad that he didn't kill him earlier. He got nothing with the Tac Pfizer and isn't really able to get onto the point. That looked
dangerous for Legacy. That looked like it could have gone very bad, but Wuvo really coming in the nick of time.
Yeah, I think Wuvo probably played that better than we gave him credit for. I was wondering, is the Dragon Blade coming out? We saw the tank go down very early on. I guess the result was, no, we don't use it, we wait. And when he did use it, as you can see, getting some decent results.
And actually, you do have to notice in that brief little moment, even though that was starting to get results, they had actually just kept the point over. So it wasn't going as badly as it could have for Legacy up till that point, but that really did seal the deal.
Overall, not too bad of a result for Legacy, getting the 2-0 there. Now, you kind of mentioned Tainted Minds did sort of push them a little bit, but it always, to me, kind of felt like Legacy was going to come away with the victories there. It really wasn't anything hugely concerning.
It was a bit of a tricky one on the whole, though, because there was a big chunk on Ruins there where I think Tainted Minds were, or rather, I feel like Legacy were maybe not giving them the right amount of respect. Like, they were just sort of making these moves, just kind of assuming they would work, not really giving Tainted Minds credit, which is an unhealthy and unsafe thing to do in this situation.
It's kind of like going, oh yeah, I know it takes me 15 minutes to get to work, so I leave 14 minutes before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's traffic, and you're like, oh wow, I really should have respected that a little bit more. It's the sort of same situation where you go, I know I can pick this up in the next push or two, but it got close. They almost ran out of attempts on the point.
Yeah, definitely. But at the end of the day, still a 2-0 there for Legacy, so no real problems occurring. I want to say, though, I feel like from what we've seen so far from Tainted Minds, their control maps have been their best maps. And if that's the best performance we're going to see out of Tainted Minds, it's going to be Struggle Street heading on from now. But maybe I'm going to be proven wrong here, and it looks like Numbani will be our second map of this series. And that makes sense. Obviously, Tainted Minds, they have picked Numbani as their choice the last 2 times that they've played, and now they're third. So 3 from 3 choices on Numbani for Tainted Minds. It must be something that they're comfortable on, at least, or at least that they think they're comfortable on.
Well, they're comfortable at picking it, that's for sure, because they get to pick it a lot. That's what happens when you don't win the first map. But
just less letters.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's just easier to write.
Maybe it's because it's not a real place, Jordan. I don't know.
Maybe they're intimidated by Hollywood, like, you know, moving out to the big city with all the stars.
Look, I'm going to say I went to Hollywood last year, and it was surprising. Hopefully, they cleaned it up in the next 60 years or so, because it was a very interesting location.
Surprising was a very diplomatic choice of word there, Sandman.
Oh, well. Maybe next time. Maybe next time I'll go there and I'll buy that guy's mixtape.
He's going to be waiting. He's like, hey, I remember you from last time. You still interested?
Yeah, man. Here's your fiver.
Here's an interesting note, though, actually. Legacy are opting to attack first. I think that's interesting because, I mean, if you want to look at it, I mean, the reason people defend first, right, is if you full hold, you've got an easy path to victory.
Yeah.
So Legacy are like, all right, we're willing to just cap on out and make it as hard as we can for Tainted Minds to then win on their own offense. I wonder if that's just maybe being more confident in their offense, at least in this situation, than in their defense.
Well, the difference here is that Wuvo is on the Pharah, while Slitzel J is on Soldier. We'll see which one of those ends up getting the better.
The pressure on these tanks is just so great, and that means they can't really affect the point. Carroll Koala's just waiting for the sort of point at which he can go in, but doesn't even need to. The tanks are still alive, but it's the rest of Tainted Minds just getting picked apart because so much of the healing effort is going in towards these tanks, just slowly but surely getting picked apart. They got the closer respawns, so this does take a little bit longer for Legacy just because they didn't get like a full gong or anything early on, but now getting it later on, I mean, hey, it's all the same in the end, right? 3 minutes left on the clock just about as the cap starts to round that final third.
Look, it's even better if you manage to catch yourself a free kill or two pushing through here, particularly if it's the Mercy.
Ooh, nearly.
That was close.
And I like that Legacy are sort of moving ahead here. They were recognizing the Tainted Minds are doing the smart thing and backing off. But Wuvo, has already been able to set himself up here, giving the aerial pressure out this. Even as Tainted Minds try to set up, they're just getting rained upon by rockets, and Wuvo is just taking full advantage of that. Now that the rest of his tanks can move forward, I mean, look at that. That was just sheer cleanup from Legacy.
The thing is, we've been following Wuvo pretty much the entire game so far, and I've seen Wuvo take hardly any damage. It's not even like he's getting healed. No one's shooting him. Like, it's free reign, it's free DPS.
It's because Tainted Minds are never quite really
set up, right? Yeah. It makes it hard.
Exactly. Like, if they can get Slids or Jay somewhere even just a little bit safer where he's maybe just not going to get, like, hit by rockets and dove out straight away, then he can start pumping damage onto Wuvo. That at least draws Strawbella up to Wuvo, gives them more options. But once again, rockets straight onto Slids or Jay. Wuvo does go down in that one, but I mean, it doesn't matter at this point, you know? He got exactly what he needed out of the ultimate, and it's the only one they needed to commit. Actually, Cinderella does go ahead and commit the Primal Rage here just to make sure they can clean up, given that Wuvo died, but now also Rez can come in on him anyway. And this is still just unmitigated success for Legacy. Yeah,
this has been a very one-sided map so far, and I'm actually quite happy now that Legacy started off an attack, because I'm sick of seeing first point holds into first point captures, right? And you're like, wait, are there other aspects of Numbani? Oh, wow, I forgot what that was like.
You mean that card's meant to go somewhere?
Yeah, I thought it was just control point.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like that sometimes, but yeah, we're getting a bit of a treat here, a rare view of it's the full tour, really. Like, Legacy are taking the scenic route. They're tourists today.
They are. Just imagine if you could actually drive the payload and go there quicker. Look, this fight is going a little bit better for now. Both teams still with 6 players alive. That's a definite start here for Tainted Minds. They're stacking up the ultimates. They've got 4, almost 5. Baby Poro's still a way to go. The battle will start out now before the rest of them are ready. However, you're going to try and push through. There comes a self-destruct. Forces the players back, but not going to find any kills.
That's so rough as well. The moment the tac buys are started, Legacy just backed off. And I mean, you can already see that before the fight, right? Legacy were respecting the ults. They went, okay, we know we've seen almost nothing out of Tainted Mind so far. They've got to have a lot of ults up. And we're just waiting for them to be committed so they can back off and re-engage as they are now, which is already going off to great effect. Now Quad J doesn't have a self-destruct to save his life. Skull does. Wuvo in as well, as per usual, slicing people to bits. Tainted Minds just like that, having finally banked up the ults that just got read and dealt with by Legacy.
Yeah, that was absolutely disgusting. And I just want to say I have a serious issue here. If they're coming from the airport, there's no way that Wuvo would have got that blade on the plane.
That's what's really bothering you about Numbani, huh? It's like the deadly weapon smuggling. I don't know, maybe they bribed an official. But that's already a double out from Caramel Koala, closing out on Quad J after demeching him with that single pulse bomb. They're just keeping these members kettled in the base. No one's able to get out. The few who are get picked apart like D-Field did just there. Now Slids or J going to try and do some work with that Peacemaker, but it's not looking good. He's already got a Deadeye in among all that, but he's got no opportunity to use it as he drops to Wuvo. Less than a meter to go, and it looks like it's all just a matter of time here for Legacy, waiting to close out these last few kills indeed, with Godsworld getting punched off the payload. That is going to be the full cap out for Legacy.
Very impressive work coming out from Legacy Esports this time around. A great push all the way through. Capped the first point, I think, on their first push, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
You know, from A to B was very, very smooth as well. It was literally just that hold on the first corner there and getting it obviously to that final spawn point, which is always a little bit difficult.
And you've really got to credit Legacy as well. And I think actually they learned a bit from Ruins, where they maybe didn't give Tainted enough respect. I mean, yes, sure, they won it, but there was a point there where maybe they were just sort of going and going like, yeah, this will all work out. And I like that there were moments in there on Numbani, especially during the Streets phase, where they're like, okay, let's not get overzealous, let's not overextend. We know they've got ultimates, let's wait for it. You know, they weren't even trying to like bait it out or anything. They weren't even trying to go like too mind gamey, you know, trying to pull some clever like fourth dimensional space chess thing. They were just like, let's just take a normal fight, but do so knowing that they have ultimates and they will commit them and let's be ready to pull out. And then they did so, like with really no issue. So I really like Legacy actually playing a very measured game there. And it actually shows in how clean that entire push went.
It just felt to me like if you get to play your... It's obviously very different when you get to play your game, right? You pick a comp and you get to play it, whether that's because you're better, whether you're...
Get to play some Overwatch.
Yeah, exactly. Because it feels to me, Tainted Minds, they didn't really get to play Overwatch there. They were in a game, but they weren't actually playing. They were dying, respawning, coming through. You've never got your six, really.
Got to play Respawn Simulator.
You play like 45 seconds of a whole game where you have your whole 6-team comp and you're in a proper position and you can actually execute on a play that you want to do, and the rest of the time is just suboptimal. And that's not fun.
And I mean, certainly it felt that way for Slids or Jay. Like, not wanting to pick on him or anything, but he was just getting shut down a lot because they did identify that he was what could be the one thing that could disrupt what Wuvo was doing for Legacy. So I like that they identified and just handled that super well. Now we've got to see if they can do the same thing again as Tainted kind of round up for their own attack.
Yeah, well, Wuvo swapped off the Pharah onto a Sombra. Always like to see how this one plays out. And straight away, Slitzel J gets taken out. Will be resurrected. Obviously, now that's going to be on downtime, so it's a little bit of something they have to keep in mind. D-Field, he can find the Sombra here. This would be pretty good. Or Caramel Koala would be nice as well.
Oh, support's getting dropped down actually really hurts Legacy. And yeah, the tanks are getting a little bit split apart. Not quite sure what happened there. They're just kind of let Tainted Minds have the inroad, maybe playing a little bit too much hit and run tactics there. And Legacy, unfortunately, getting picked apart pretty handily on the point. Losing the mech is really very little in response from Legacy. That felt uncharacteristic.
That was peculiar to me.
Again,
we lost
with the diplomatic word
yeah,
choices.
well, we lost both of them, right? One got killed and the other one was dead. I don't know if they jumped off, but it seemed like odd timing. I'm sure someone knows who isn't me. But either way, Tainted Minds with a good effort there on attack and actually have quite a lot of time to work with now. If they can make the most of this, maybe a rocket barrage coming out of Slitzel J or something that picks up a couple of players would also be very, very useful. D-Field here with an ultimate ready to go. That pulse bomb and throw it somewhere other than to a defense matrix would definitely be ideal. And that might be a good one. There you go. Cinderella goes down. The self-destruct does come out. And you see, I think maybe even that rocket barrage as well, as a ton of players on Legacy took a ton of damage.
Yeah, and those few members now just backing right up. Full Metal going in very deep to try and get follow-up here. At least create more space for the cart, and I really do like that. One thing Legacy did get in there, though, that Tainted Minds didn't, was they actually got an extra attack, if you will, on the defense. Like, they got an extra kind of setup position, so they will get one more fight in here before the cap goes over. But Tainted Minds winning that really keeps the momentum on their side.
The benefit of everyone dying at once when you're on defense on point A,
yeah,
instead of separating it out. So
there we go.
Here comes that inevitable second fight. Full Metal pushing through on the Winston. Would love to do the damage here, try and pick up their opposing tank, but Godswall's the first one to go down. That's less ideal for Tainted Minds. Legacy with 3 ultimates ready to go. Potential here for them to hold this.
Yeah, one self-destruct there. Now the follow-up out of Quad J. Wuvo, though, Nano Visor creates space if nothing else. Gets stuck, but he got Baby Poro just before he went down. Fraction of a second, and that could actually turn the tide. The respawn is closer here for Legacy than it is for Tainted Minds. You see Caramel Koala really keen to stay in this one. Cinderella as well. Slitzel J, I think he must have gone down to his own rocket here, but D-Field is actually staying in this, doing a ton of work still, as is Quad J, who's nearly earned himself another mech. That is very significant. Keeps tank presence on the point, and it's just nearly capped. Legacy are now stalling out a good amount of time, but in equal measure, they're giving away a ton of ultimate charge, and that's ultimates the Tainted Minds now looking to use to close the fight out. Getting the rundown on Saphira, who had just used the Transcendence as well. Legacy are actually putting themselves potentially in a worse position for the last point here, unless this does end up being a fight win, and it's nowhere near secure yet, especially not with Cinderella and Caramel Koala dying right at the end.
There we go. They will manage to cap the point. 4:30 on the clock. It's 1 minute to get around the corner there and try and even things out. But even if that is not the case, they still have enough time on the clock here to cap this third point with the payload and have a decent attack again to try and make things even. Quad J, let's go. Time to see this self-destruct, and I'm ready for 5 or 6. You ready? Are you ready for 6 to die?
Oh, absolutely. You got it. Oh, but the moment he does go down to the tactical visor. But I mean, all those ultimates, right? They're gonna pay off eventually. Yeah, committing quite a few of them actually to make the fight happen for them, but it's still fine. I mean, it's not like Legacy are really coming into a lot of their own. They got the tank ones. It's stall time, but Tainted Minds.
This has been a great push from Tainted Minds. Actually, they've done very, very well here on attack. That is not going to help, however.
That is really rough, and Wuvo actually still alive, even as the dive has gone big in on him. Full Metal actually popping that so that he doesn't die on his way back to the payload, where he is seeking to dislodge Cinderella. And while that's all going, Wuvo now, no pressure on him. Catch onto Strawbella, though. Nice one from D-Field, and Caramel Koala going down. But again, Wuvo remains untouched. Self-destruct as well, catching God's World. Looks like this isn't going to be the one for Tainted Minds. That is extremely close, though. They've got a lot of time as well. Legacy, I mean, this is actually not far from having to go to Time Bank.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's going to be pretty close here, and if Tainted can pick it up in the next minute or so, that's still plenty of time. That's definitely a time where they can compete with what Legacy has to work with when it comes back around to attacking once again. So God's World ready to go with the Trance. That's certainly going to be useful. Quad J going to have self-destruct once again. Just want to watch out for Wuvo, who's done a fair bit of damage so far with that tack visor.
That was, yeah, tanks getting quite low early. Self-destruct just kind of tossed
Nice.
in. Wah! Getting the 2. Big opening now, and there isn't much progress that needs to be made, but good pressure by Carroll. Koala kind of keeps Slidzor at least second-guessing entering the fight in earnest, and Wuvo as well, just doing what work he can. But there we go. This time they will not let him go unanswered. They will follow up with the kill. Now D-Field having to try and take on the 1v1 with Carroll Koala. The remaining members of Legacy are actually keeping good tabs, and the Cinderella and Carroll Koala doing a ton of work, even as the ladder finally dies. It's just these tanks scrapping on the payload. Rez to come in, Strawbella really doing a ton of work here, and actually Tainted Minds recognizing that they have to just back off, at least for now. Oh, late mech loss, really unfortunate. That wastes a lot of extra time that Legacy really needs to be burning off Tainted Minds' clock.
Yeah, well, we are getting to the point now where it's going from, yeah, they're going to be in a pretty decent spot for Tainted Minds to attack once again, to, well, a minute up against 327. That makes life far more difficult. You'll get your first point, and then you are essentially stuck on that payload. You cannot get off.
And that is, by the way, if they cap. Like, this
if
is
they
now,
cap, yeah, well, less
two,
and less likely.
Yeah, it's 2 fights here on C that they've failed, and 2 more failures is just a non-cap and Legacy take it. In fact, looking to do that just straight out the gate, catching God's World already, and just the dive straight in on Slidzor J. Maybe not quite respecting the entrenched position. The res in, and now the tactical visor straight out as well. Actually, maybe an overextension from Legacy, flying in from Strawbella to go down. They will get a full rack of respawns just in the nick of time, but that was not a great start for Legacy.
No, that was pretty bad. They're going to have to jump out here onto the point very, very quickly. Here comes Cinderella. And heck, if that payload hadn't moved back 10 meters, that would have been game over already.
Yeah, able to stall as well with that Primal Rage for the rest of the team to come in. Now the fight breaks out in earnest. You see Wuvo just shy of a blade, goes down. Strawbella has to pop the Valkyrie to keep the team in the fight, keep everyone healed up, but it's working. Pulse Bomb does go wide from D-Field and Legacy. This is where the respawn advantage can really start paying dividends. And now Tainted Minds, by the way, this has gone on long enough that they won't get another chance if this one does fail. So it is imperative that they get the close out. Wuvo finally back in with the Dragon Blade straight onto Slidzor J, looking to just take the damage out of the picture, having a hard time hacking away at the tanks, but will at least get Quad J's mech. And the res in on Cinderella, who can continue keeping the stall alive for Legacy, continue the presence on the point while Wuvo gets to go deep and just dish out the damage. Now looking for Baby Poro, and these are deaths that are going to come in too late for Tainted Minds to fully reset now. Only 10 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, Wuvo playing a ring around the Winston right there. We'll get 1 support on one side, 1 support on the other side. And after jumping off that soldier onto a Genji, doing some serious damage, and it does not look like Tainted Minds are going to be able to push this beyond the point. They are going to, 1 by 1, try and stream in here, trickle onto the point. Slidzor J holding back. Here comes the self-destruct. This is going to make life very difficult. And Legacy pick up a double. Full metal. The last one on the point getting pushed off right now. Slidzor going to need to run on there as well. Does find 1 support, wants to find Saphira. Not going to be able to right now. And up against Skull, that should be that.
Absolutely is that. Just not really enough members at that point. You feel bad for them almost because, like, individually they're full metal, and then also Slidzor J actually really made some promising things happen. But, I mean, even if it had happened, like, in sync, unfortunately the case was such that without the members that had died to the self-destruct, they probably just didn't have the numbers on the point to really back that play up and turn it into a closeout, because those respawns do still eventually come in favor of Legacy.
Yeah, irrespective of the time bank, it was looking less and less likely. The fights were getting less and less on the favor of Tainted and more on the favor of Legacy. So in the end, Legacy too strong. Yeah,
it was getting close there though for Tainted Minds. I've got to say, it's feeling like a little bit more of a contest than I actually expected it to be coming into this matchup.
Mate, it's better than the game we saw at the end of yesterday that we touted as the game of the week. At least now this is interesting.
Yeah, it's a little bit close at least. Like you said, Pixie, there was a couple of good individual moments from some of the players there on Tainted Minds, but again, it sort of didn't feel like they all necessarily meshed at the same time when they needed to.
Yeah, and I also kind of want to see something on the other side of that, or rather point out something I saw on the other side of that, which was really strange, is that, like I mentioned on their attack, Legacy gave Tainted Minds a very healthy amount of respect. Like, I would say like the right amount of respect, exactly so. And then on the defense, like, they were giving them a good amount of respect, but their own execution just kind of wasn't there. Like, it felt like I was seeing a very different Legacy all of a sudden.
Right? It was, they almost didn't play that first fight out. They got 1 pick and then it all just crumbled from there. I'm genuinely interested in what happened to those 2 support players in that first fight, because I have no idea how they went down.
Well, I wonder if one of them was like maybe like jumping back to try and avoid a tank. Like sometimes it does happen that like the Winston, either he's going to push you off the edge or you're going to jump off the edge because you're trying to avoid being pushed, and it can look like you did something silly, but actually you were just avoiding damage.
Yeah, well, things maybe not all quite right in the Legacy camp, but there's